Eudorah George Jolaosho was born to the family of the late Oku Charles George on the 16th day of January 1944. She was the first of 7 children and was dearly beloved by her father. He loved her so much because he saw her as a reincarnation of his mother, and he openly expressed his desire for her to remain in the family and not to be given away in marriage. The young Ine grew up in Buguma in the current Asalga local government area of Rivers State, where she attended Baptist Day Primary School between 1954 and 1959. She was a bright child who took her studies very seriously. After her primary school education, she got admitted into the prestigious Queen's School in Enugu in 1960. Her secondary school education was sadly interrupted by the Nigerian Civil War, but she still managed to finish Queen's School Enugu in 1967 with flying colors. Though her father died during the Civil War, the tragedy did not deter Ine and her brother Charles I from getting admitted to the University of Ibadan. In 1969, Ine and Charles I made the long journey from Port Harcourt to Ibadan to start their undergraduate studies all alone, with next to no funding from anyone. Ine studied animal science while her brother read geology. She graduated in 1973 and was posted to Benin City in the defunct Bendel State to undertake her National Youth Service as a member of the pioneer batch of Youth Corps members. In Benin, she taught chemistry as a Youth Corps member at the Anglican Girls Secondary School. Sister, as she was fondly called, had an insatiable quest for knowledge. This zeal drove her to undertake several training courses at the University of Wisconsin at Madison, the National Agricultural College, Deventer Holland, the University of Iowa, Ames, United States of America, and a study tour of rural women in India. Ine also had a number of publications to her credit in her field of livestock and agric extension services. Ine joined the Federal Civil Service in Minna in 1974 as a Livestock Development Officer 2 in charge of the Minna pig farms. Between 1974 and 1976, she was promoted to Livestock Development Officer 1 in charge of feed and chick distribution for Operation Feed Nigeria between 1976 and 1980. Between 1980 and 1982, she was responsible for the federally assisted livestock projects in Kwara, Oyo, Ogun, and Bendel states. She commenced the inventory and documentation of research results for the livestock sector, which culminated in the creation of the Department of Livestock Extension and Publicity Program. From 1982 to 2007, when she retired, she held various leadership positions in the Department of Livestock and Pest Control in Ibadan, Port Harcourt, and the head office in Abuja. She retired as an assistant director. Sister met the love of her life, the late Olajide Shobande Jolaosho, a young Nigerian soldier during the Civil War in 1968. They got married by native law and custom. On the 26th of December 1970, the marriage was blessed with a son, Oladipo Owukbele Jolaosho. Sister loved her son so much that she always referred to him as my one eye. She passed on to glory in his arms on the 27th of December 2022 at about 7 p.m. as he sang one of her favorite songs, The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Sister will be fondly remembered as someone who lived life on her own terms. She never left you in doubt if she supported what you were doing or not. She never sat on the fence on any matter. She accepted Christ in 1980 through the late Williams Olusegun Ajayi, who was a junior colleague in her office. Sister believed and lived the message of Malachi chapter 4 verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. She believed William Marion Branham was a messenger to the Laodicean age. Her Christian faith was nurtured at the local Christian assembly in Ososami, Ibadan. In Port Harcourt, she fellowshipped at the Revealed Word Tabernacle, where she was fondly referred to as Church Grandma. In the last 3 years of her earthly life, Sister attended almost all services, virtually connecting to the streaming service of the Revealed Word Tabernacle. She was always the first to complain if the Wi-Fi in the house was down. She always had running data subscription on her device, just to be able to attend weekday and weekend services. For her, nothing was too valuable to give up for her faith. Even in her last few hours, Sister remained very convinced about what waited for her after death. She told her son and his wife, "Whatever happens, I will see you in glory." Minutes before she passed on peacefully, she murmured, "Jesus, you know I love you." It's painful to see her go so early, but we are convinced that she loved the Lord to the very end and kept the faith. We are consoled that we will see her at the Master's feet.
Hi, I'm David, my sister's niece. Whenever sister hears my name, she always reminds me that she should be the one answering David because my grandfather, which is her father, late father, was David, and David means daughter of David. Sister was his first child and first daughter. And sister loved her father. You could tell she always found a way to recall back his memories. So I remember being in JS1, and there was this day, sister sent me on an errand, and I had a frown on my face. She said to me that day, "Papi, if you frown, you're going to get old quick." That changed everything. From then on, I smiled at almost anything at all. Sister was a loving soul. Sister was a woman that feared God. Sister was a woman that when she has a stand or she has a stand on something, believe me, you're going to know, this is what she thinks, and that is that. She would not be pushed to the wall for no reason.
My name's Lawrence Olejo. I'm an adopted son of Mama Jolaosho. About the lifetime of Mama. Mama was a very devoted Christian. She was steadfast. I believe was deeply rooted in the Word of God. From Port Harcourt to Lagos, we've been together. Mama is such a pleasant soul. Mama will always sit down to tell you about life. You can't catch Mama without CNN. She's always there to watch CNN to know what is happening in the world. She's fully involved in everything, in our church activities in the house. I remember the times when we used to have our fellowship in Lagos. She's always there to share the word of God and to involve in everything we do. It's so painful that Mama had to go now. We thought she was going to be with us for a very long time. All I will say is that may Mama's soul rest in peace. We will sorely miss her. She will sorely be missed. And I pray again that God will grant the entire family she left behind the fortitude to bear this incredible loss. We actually lost a rare gem.
Talking about my mom, it's actually very, very challenging. So first, let me start to explain to you why my mom called me. My mom called me at one time because she said to me way back in 1984 that she couldn't have another child after me, and that any joy that a parent was going to get from a child, I was her only hope for it. This meant I had the additional burden of being turning out responsible. It meant when if other children worked hard in school, I had to work harder. In anything I did, I had to carry the moral courage that I was all that my mother could get. It was for me she could get anything she could get, for the joy of being a mother. To tell you an incident that happened, tell you about how morally upright my mother was, I'll tell you two incidences. In December 1984, I was in GSS1, Federal College, and on the day of vacation, I came home with a plastic cup with the name of Tosin Abiodun inscribed on the cup. And my mom asked me when we got home, who owned the cup, and I explained to her the cup belonged to a senior of mine, to senior when we ran off from the hall after our last breakfast for vacation. He left the cup with me, and he said, no problem. She followed me to school all the way from Port Harcourt to London, and waited in school till she saw to St. just to ask him if he truly left that cup with me or if I had stolen it. Second thing, my mother always said if you were sent on an errand and change remained, you never kept the change. If you were supposed to buy a thing for 10 naira and you got there and it was 9 naira, you had to return the 1 naira. That is how morally upright my mother was. My mother would never allow you to keep anything that did not rightfully belong to you. And all of this stemmed from how much she loved God and how much she just wanted to live right for God. My mother became a Christian in 1980, and though I was much younger, I was a little child then, I saw over the years how my mother transformed from not being a Christian to being the Christian she was until she had her last birthday on the 27th of December 2022. And how peacefully she went after telling me that no matter what happens, we will meet him. My mom was prepared for her departure. She looked forward to it and she departed peacefully. I will always remember my mom for these things. I remember the fact that she never left anybody in doubt as to where she stood on any matter. My mother never sat on the fence on anything. She told you clearly and promptly, also bluntly, what she felt and what she felt was right and if you were doing it. She never left you in doubt if she was with you, but she was not with you. She wasn't a perfect human being, but she loved God and would always come back to you to say, I'm sorry I overreacted, whenever she realized she had done too much. I would miss her. I know she's in heaven smiling, knowing she's run her course. I ask God to give each one of us the grace to run our courses so that at the end of it, we can truly return to liberty. Goodbye, Mommy. I'm not crying because you didn't want me to cry. I'm celebrating the life you lived and the legacy you left for me. Mommy.
Tribute to Mommy. Several years ago, when I met Oladipo, I could tell that you must have been very intentional in your parenting style. Before meeting you physically, I knew you were a very strict and firm woman who stood her ground at every point in life. Little wonder the strength in your voice during your stay at the hospital, which we took for a sign of recuperation on that evening of 27th December, when you spoke with me on the phone while returning from the laboratory after the test. I couldn't pick it in your voice that it was close to the end. I thought and believed that you would be fine. Apparently, the Lord understands it more than we do. Mommy, your display of strength was next to no other. You may have left, as it were, but you have left for us a lot of learnings to take to mind. Your understanding of the life you wanted is unexplainable, and I guess that just made you who you were. You showed and told everyone who cared to know that you have a full understanding of your choice of service to the Lord. Thank you, Mommy, for all you did in our lives. Thank you most especially for raising Oladipo. We are all missing you, your DOD, your grandchildren, and myself. Good night, Grandma. Rest in the bosom of the Lord. Your daughter-in-law, Jayola Jolaosho. I love you, Grandma. You truly were a special, special woman. You may have passed on, but your memories would always live on within us. Thank you for your sacrifices, your care and concern, your love and everything that you have done for me. I know you're in a much better place. I will be forever grateful and thankful that you're my grandmother. Oluwatitofumi Owanati Jolaosho. Grandmother, I am just short of words. Time will fail me to talk about you. From your bosom, you birthed an amazing child. Through the strength of God, you fought for your loved ones in the place of prayer. You would often say, Otokini, take your academic books in one hand and the Bible in the other. Never forget God. No matter how long, as the year rolls by and as time passes, this memory of you will never subside. I will never forget to praise the Lord always, just like you named me. Otokini, Otokini, praising the Lord all the time. What more blessings can I ask? I know you're resting in the bosom of Christ. Baweria, Imiete, Oluwatoroti, Otokini, Jolaosho. My grandmother was a nice, caring and wonderful person. I remember when I was leaving for the boarding house, she prayed for me and gave me money. Your granddaughter, Oluwatosimile Tamono Tonye Jolaosho. My mother, sister, as we left home for the hospital, you said to me, whatever happens, we will meet in glory. You were very weak, but your voice was strong, and you demonstrated so much conviction. I knew the end was close, but I also knew how strong you were. I believed you would pull through, and yes, you did. I left home at about 10 a.m. to pick you up from the hospital because you were to be discharged. I will always remember the last 9 hours of your earthly sojourn. You were weak and barely audible, but you communicated all the same. In your usual way, you made sure you administered the tips I left behind for the nurses who attended to you. You decided who got what and when. You were weak, but still in charge. Mom, because you thought I could not bear to see you pass on, you sent me on 2 wild goose chases. First, you asked me to go get Greek yogurt without specifying if you wanted the sweetened or unsweetened type. I knew what you were trying to do, so I bought both types. You smiled and asked me to keep the sweetened Greek yogurt, but feed you the unsweetened. Finally, we realized you were too weak to open your mouth. Next, you then asked me to get pepper soup from our usual joint, the Akwa Ibom Liaison House restaurant on Victoria Island, to which I promised the next day. As I sang the God of Abraham, Isaac, you barely audibly muttered, Jesus you know I love, and dropped your chin. Ine Eudorah George Jolaosho, aka Sister, had crossed the curtain of time, leaving indelible footprints in the sands of time. You had prepared me adequately for your transition, so I did not scream, still believing you could beat the odds. I watched your earthly frame for an hour, just looking out for any signs of life returning. Mommy, thank you for all the sacrifices you made for me on this side of eternity. Many people ask me how I grew up an only child and was not spoiled. My response has always been, my mother was a drill sergeant. You were intentional about your love for everyone. You were always full of advice. You willingly gave your substance to support any cause you believed in. You never stood on the fence on any matter. Sister, you loved the Lord with all your heart, even unto death. You always talked about your home beyond the curtains of time. You always said, one grudge against anyone, and you will miss the rapture. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? I am laying down my mother's earthly frame, but I am convinced I will see her again on the resurrection morning. Your one eye, Oladipo.